OTG, On The Go podcast. We're here. We're going to get our first guest. So let's give him a call.
Hey, brother, what's up?
What up, bro? How you doing, dog? Chilling, man. You?
Good, bro.
Good.
Just here.
All right, brother.
What's up?
I'm outside, bro. Let's get
Oh,
this
you're
party
outside?
started. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Waiting for you, bro.
Perfect. Let me get outside right now, okay?
All right, bet. Got you. All
All
right.
right, see you soon. Bye.
Yeah, bye. All right, guys, he's coming out. So we're just going to wait for him to get here. But welcome, everybody. Welcome to the On The Go podcast. You know, this is the podcast that it's on the go, as you can see. It's shot in the comfort of my own car. So we're going to have our first guest now. We're just waiting for him to come out. And he looks like he's coming out right now. So this is dope. Let's go ahead and get him inside. It's going to be pretty freaking awesome. Let's get him in here. Alrighty. What's up, bro? How you doing, brother? Come on, man. Good. Take a seat, my boy. How you doing, brother? Good.
Yeah,
Mic up, my friend. Mic up.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. Yeah, man. We legit out here. We legit. This ain't no game, bro.
These are pretty cool.
All right, man, guys. So, welcome. This is the On The Go podcast. Guys, our guest, Mr. Manny Ortiz.
I
Hey,
am honored to be here.
Yeah?
Man, this is cool. Especially, dude, episode 1, man.
Yeah, episode 1. That's crazy, right?
I feel like there's a little bit of pressure, because this is like the first episode and stuff. But man, let's have fun.
Yeah. All right, so I got one important question to ask you. Right
Yeah.
now, it's currently 9:49 in the morning. You trying to get some coffee?
Yeah, man. Of
Definitely.
course.
Are you? What we trying to do? Dunkin'? We trying to do Starbucks?
I'd say Dunkin'.
Dunkin'?
Yeah,
Believe
yeah.
it or not, I'm more of a Dunkin' guy myself.
Yeah, like Starbucks is okay, but I don't know.
But I know Dunkin' just be hidden, right?
It just has that thing about it.
I
know?
feel you, bro. I feel
Yeah.
you. But On The Go podcast is basically talking to everyday people about everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, this is one of my good friends, Manny, somebody that I love very much and that I find interesting. So just kind of to like start off and break the ice, there's 4 fundamental things that I think people share in common.
Yeah.
One is family, career, belief, and overall your lifestyle. Like I mean,
Right.
like what you like to do and what do you like to see.
Right.
So in that sense, while we're on our way to get our coffee and whatnot, let's talk about that. Let's talk about our
Right.
life. Let's talk about our family, career that we've chosen, and ultimately our belief. So I'll definitely find a Dunkin' here. Let me just actually pull it up at the moment.
I think there's one that is pretty close by here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my area and stuff like that. So,
So
yeah.
you know pretty well. All right, you want to be my?
I'll guide you.
You
I
guide
got
me.
you.
Let's go.
Yeah,
We out of
for
here.
Sure.
All right, bro. So yeah, man. I'm so happy to have you here, bro. So, question: how's life going, bro? How's life been, man? How's you're a whole homeowner. you got you started just a brand new career. So,
Right.
So talk to me a
right.
little bit. How's life been so far in the midst of all this transition?
Right. It's definitely been good, I would say. I mean, honestly, I feel like I'm thankful, every day to have a job,
Gotcha.
and I mean, as well, like to have a home. Like, I definitely feel like it's one of those things that probably goes pretty like underrated in terms of like, or not underrated, but something I would
Straight,
say
right?
that, yeah, go ahead, keep on going straight, yeah.
Okay.
Something that like we take for granted, but as far as like, just being able to provide every single, over there.
It's over there.
Yeah.
I'm so bad.
No,
with
you're
directions.
good.
I'm so bad with directions.
No,
And
you're
dude,
good.
I'm not like you weren't gonna lie. There's hella potholes in this area.
Dude, yeah,
That's
man.
crazy, bro. My car could just freaking
I,
get
thi-
right
I,
now.
I think there could be a whole podcast just about the
potholes.
potholes that are within this area. Like,
Oh, that's cool, man. That's funny. No, for real. I came in and I was like, coño,
Bro, but
these
like-
potholes are stupid.
it's not bad here. It's over there.
It's over
That's,
there,
like,
yeah,
terrible.
bro. We going
Yeah,
lefties
yeah.
or righties?
Oh,
bro?
right. Yeah,
Let's
right.
go.
And then you're gonna make a right at this light.
Got you.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So you were saying, bro, that that you're just thankful to have a job.
No,
and-
yeah, for sure, definitely. Like, I'm thankful to have like a job and just to be able to provide every day, for this house and stuff. It's not easy as well. Like, there's no like instruction manual when it comes to like how should I go about, like having a home now or like, transitioning into a new job. But I think it's one of those things that you just figure out on a day to day.
On a day to day.
I think that's the reality, honestly. That I feel as well that there's times where I'm like, man, like I can't believe I'm like, what am I? I turned 27 like a month or two ago, and I'm like, I have a house and
Happy belated birthday,
responsibility. Oh, thank you, thank you.
I was out of town when they actually threw you the little party. At
Right.
Anthony.
Oh, yeah.
I was in Seattle visiting family.
I actually couldn't remember if you were. Yeah, you were.
I noticed on the sign. I was like, oh crap, happy birthday, bro.
Right.
So yeah,
right.
that's dope though.
But yeah, no, definitely. I feel like I think one thing I constantly think about is like, I'm someone that like I think ahead, and I'm just like, man, I wonder where I'm gonna be in like 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But back when I moved here when I was 18, and like fast forwarding to now, I would have never expected myself to be in the position that I am, and I'm just really thankful for it.
Man, that's cool, bro. Yeah. Honestly, in all honesty, I think it's awesome because, like you said, it's right. Normally, when you go to school, you grow up, they don't really teach you in regards to like I would say like managing finances, how it is to buy a home, how important it is to have credit, stuff of that nature.
Sorry to cut you off, George. What you're gonna do is go here, man. Yeah, make a U.
Right here? Okay. Oh, I know this one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No one ever teaches you those things.
No one teaches you those things, bro. And it can be kind of scary and
not.
kind of intimidating because there's so much information out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's difficult for you to be like, which information can I trust? How do I learn? And then, unfortunately, the worst teacher is experience.
Oh, yeah, man.
Oh, man, because when you flop, you flop, and you flop hard. You feel me?
No, for sure,
so
definitely.
it's kind of crazy. But,
I agree with that sentiment 100%.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, life is going good.
Life is good, yeah.
You're thankful? All right,
thankfully.
Cool. And how's family, bro? How's, if you don't mind, how's the girlfriend, bro? How's the that's for those who don't know, my friend Manny has an amazing girlfriend. She's awesome. And how's that going, bro?
Yeah, like she's great. Like definitely, I would say that the nice thing with her is that we're in very similar parts of our lives right now.
Okay.
Just kind of in a way where like we're both currently like me. Sorry.
Yeah, I got you.
Left
I know.
ear,
Yeah, I know where to go.
Got you.
Bro.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that it's definitely nice to be working towards something with another person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, before my girlfriend, I had maybe
my girlfriend had a boy, Manny. Let's go. I love that, bro.
Before her, I hadn't been in like a relationship for like a while. Like it'd been a good maybe like 4 years. Yeah. And I mean, you're just like you just kind of get used to that, right? That's the reality. You just kind of get used to doing things, by yourself. If you don't do things, then no one's really going to get things done for you. And I feel like still, I think it's important to kind of keep that mentality, right? But it is nice to have someone to, do those things with, right? Or just, honestly, I think it's nice as well, like on any given day as well, it's like, like, do you want to go out and go to this place and then have someone to do that with? Yeah. So it's been nice. And I mean, in regards to her, she's been good. We just work hard Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sundays we try to enjoy our weekends together.
Yeah, that's cool, bro.
Yeah.
No, and now that you're mentioning that, like, I think it's important, like, when it comes to, like, having relationships and stuff like that, to really find somebody that you can build with, because essentially that's what you're doing with your girlfriend. I mean, you're building a life together, you're building something together. What the heck? There's a bank here, too?
Yeah, there's a bank, but I want to say if you go around the bank,
I think
is
if I go around
the
Dunkin', right?
Yeah, it looks super weird.
That's crazy.
Oh, I guess because the entrance
Only
is there.
Miami Gardens, bro. Only Miami Gardens. But, no, bro, but I 100% understand that, dude, because before I met my wife, obviously, for those who don't know, I'm married, working on my 7 years, this year, actually, my 7 years of marriage. I met my wife when I was 21, and,
7 years.
21, I met her, she was 18, now I'm turning 31, and my wife is 28, so we're about to be 3 years apart.
You guys have about the same, like, age gap as me and Ingrid, but you guys are 3 years, me and her 4 years.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we're 3. And then, bro, I was with my wife, my wife now, I was with her all of my 20s. But before that, I was single for about like a year, maybe 2 years tops, where I wasn't talking to nobody. I was just kind of to myself.
Right.
Just because I also needed to get myself ready. I was really, really immature back then. So I was like, dang, dude, I don't think anyone will want to deal with me right now.
I still feel like I'm immature now,
Me too, bro. I guess I grew up a little bit. You know, now
Right,
now I say
right.
I'm a big kid with big boy money now. So
Right,
like you and I
right,
could do
right,
stuff.
right, for sure.
But
I
that's
agree
cool,
with
bro. I'm
that.
happy to hear that, man. That the
Definitely.
girlfriend and the family is doing well, and that you guys are building together. And I
Thankfully,
think that's
thankfully.
awesome, bro.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. And honestly, was it worth the wait?
Yeah,
Because you
man.
were single for a while, and I know that you were like maybe casually dating, trying to
Right,
find someone to
right.
build with.
So
Was it worth it?
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say. So I feel like right as people, or I mean, I think everyone thinks differently about these things, right?
Do we order here? Or does she take the order?
Who knows?
Let me ask her. Huh? Do we order here? Oh, okay, great. How you doing? Awesome. What do you want, brother?
Oh, could I have a? Let's see. Do you guys have the sourdough breakfast sandwich? One of those?
Hook my boy up with a sourdough breakfast sandwich. And do you want a coffee?
Yes, a coffee. Yeah. Do you guys have lattes? Vanilla latte?
All right, and for me,
Nice.
Oh, medium's fine.
Hot rice.
hot or ice?
Hot, please.
Hot. I'm judging you. And for me, let me just get a medium iced decaf, black. Yeah, I can't have too much caffeine. I'll go a little crazy if I have too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1377.
Oh, dang. Let's go, Duncan. Appreciate you. Alrighty.
Okay, have a good day.
All right, you too. Thank you.
What were we talking about before?
What
Oh,
were we
if
talking
it was,
Oh, if it was worth the wait. Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Yeah. So I definitely think like everyone has different like views on this, right?
Mhm.
Some people are single for like you said you've been single for like a year. Me, I had been single for like 4 years at that point. And again, I had dated people in between, right? Like nothing serious, a few things here and there. But I think definitely the just being able to, I guess, like think about like what a relationship is, the important things within a relationship, what I'm looking for personally, right?
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to what I was saying beforehand. I feel like it was important to be with someone that understands kind of the point in my life where I'm at right now. And
Gotcha.
is able to accept that in the same way that I'm able to accept what part of their lives they're going in. They're in
They're
as
in at the
well.
moment. Yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
And yeah, I just feel like with me and Ingrid, we just kind of like, we just kind of matched really
right?
well. Honestly, I think that's the reality of it. And I feel like even though me and her have different interests to each other,
Uh-huh.
we find a really nice middle ground to it.
Okay.
So, I feel like that's how we kind of make our relationships work because we are so different from each other.
And I think that there's beauty in commonality as well as differences. You get me?
Yeah.
I think, at least for me, in my opinion, and how I see relationships, I think the most important thing is to have a fundamental foundation that you guys have in common.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, like, I guess in a way, like, you could say same belief system, the way you guys were
Right,
raised.
right.
Stuff of that nature that kind of makes you.
For sure, definitely.
That needs to be, I would say, at least on par, just because those can also maybe possibly be deal breakers.
Absolutely,
but then
yeah.
everything goes above from that, from interests to movies to hobbies to what she likes, what she doesn't like, what you like, what she doesn't, what you don't like. I feel like that can just kind of
can differ.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that the base is important.
The base is important,
to
right?
have similar kind of like you said, belief systems and just kind of be on the same page about those things.
And I would even go
That's
as far,
important.
I would even go as far as to say it's careers. Because let's say, for example, those people who are in love, but then the husband's in the military.
Right.
Is she
right.
okay with being a military wife
Yeah,
and having kids and being
absolutely,
alone
for
most of
sure.
the time and risking that life where she's
Uh-huh.
living in a constant state of panic or worry where her husband could possibly die, cannot die? Well,
Right.
they'll come and give her that knock on the door. Hey, we have some news to tell you. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right.
so I would say in regards to like maybe sometimes lifestyle choices like career, your fundamental belief system, like what do you believe in,
Right.
God, no God, stuff of that nature. How many
Yeah.
kids you want, if you even want kids.
Right.
Those do you want to live in Florida? Are we ready to buy a house in Florida? Do we want to move?
right.
I feel like those conversations need to be done beforehand.
Right.
Not obviously, not on the first date, of course, but obviously as
Like
you
over
get to
time,
over
yeah.
time, just because
Yeah.
you want to make sure that those things align so that everything else that goes on there is add-ons, but the core and the base of your relationship is based on those
Right,
similarities.
right.
You get me? It's super important to have that because then
Yeah.
It can always be a conflict of interest. Like, think about it. Two different belief systems. How are we going to raise our kids to believe what?
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. And, like, to that, while you were saying that, I guess I was just thinking as well, like, I'm definitely someone that believes that it is important to date, right, and to get to know other people. Just because I feel like when you've been able to date, right, that kind of just shapes, right, a little bit about, like, the way that you view things. I feel like those are things that kind of come along, like, that's experience, right,
Yeah.
that you have. So I definitely found that a lot with, like, some of the people that I was dating, right? Like, they could have been really cool, awesome people, right? But at the end of the day, if we were just in two different parts of our lives, it just wasn't going to work.
It wasn't going to work.
So
yeah. I get
it's
you.
I feel like it's almost like a trial and error sort of thing, right? But
Finding the needle in the haystack, bro.
but when you actually find that person, right, and it's good, it's really good.
No, yeah, bro. Honestly, I'm not gonna. Yeah, man. Thankfully, at least with me, when I was single for 2 years, I didn't date. It wasn't so much the fact that it's not like I wanted to. I didn't want to find the one that I wanted to be with, but it was more for the fact that I wasn't even in the right state of mind to date. And then I'm a strong believer that if you're gonna date, you kind of have to start growing up to become the man that you have to be.
Right.
On a date, at least for me, I'm a very traditional man. I'm not gonna let my girlfriend pay.
Right.
I'm not gonna let her pick me up. You got me? I'm a very, you know what I mean? At least in my sense,
Right.
men are supposed to be kind of the ones leading the directions, and then the wife, because men can't do it alone, need the best helper possible,
Right.
which in this case will be your spouse or your girlfriend who's able to help you in that situation. Or in life in general. So I guess because I wasn't up to par to be the man that I needed to be is the reason why I probably abstained from dating for a while until I was able to get myself up there, meaning that I was working towards finishing college, having 2 jobs at that point. I was working 25 hours, 2 jobs, 50 hours a week, 100 hours every 2 weeks.
Crazy.
While also doing, obviously, I go to church while I was having my youth group. And
Had a lot going on.
I have a lot going on. And, bro, I did all this without a car at one point. And then finally I was blessed to have a car.
Right.
But I think those humble beginnings really got me to the point where I was like, you know what? If I can do this and I can manage that, then I can have a relationship. And I remember I was praying one time and I told God, I was like, God, listen, I need to be married already before the age of 25.
Really?
I don't know why. Yeah, I told him, I was like, Lord, I need to be married before the age of 25. And then it's funny because in those moments where I was praying, I was talking to God, I kind of had specific things that I wanted. I was like, Lord, she needs to have straight teeth. She needs to be beautiful. She needs to have a bunda. She has to be thick as hell. Like, bro, Lord, this is what I want. You get me? She has to be like, for me, one of them was like, she needs to be a virgin. Like, this is what I need. And that's exactly what I got when I found my wife. You get me? So it was and it was great. I was like, man, Lord, thank you.
George, so I am curious, right? When you and Tati first started dating, right? Would you say that you guys hit it off from the beginning, or like kind of how was that? When you guys started dating?
Well, I would say we did hit it off, but the reason why we did is because my wife was really timid back then. So I remember our first date, she didn't say a word.
Really?
We didn't talk at all, Manny. We didn't talk at all, bro. Tell me how we went to eat. We went to the movies. Just something, just to kind of. I wanted to give ourselves space to conversate.
Hold up. So I'm just curious and I mean, like, you definitely can say this if you want or not, right? But how did you go about asking her out, like, to begin with, if she was so quiet?
Okay. Guys, take notes. This is how you do it, right? This is how you spit the game. You just gotta know. All right. So when I met my wife, we were at Burger King.
Okay.
And while we were at Burger King,
You guys worked there?
We worked, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so the way it starts is that I was working at Burger King first. I got really cool with my store manager. He would leave the store sometimes and leave me in charge of everything because I know how to do everything. So then one time he's like, hey, bro, go through the stacks of applications, pick one, and I'll hire them.
Okay.
I saw her name.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I like her name.
Okay.
Tatiana, I like it.
Right.
So then I went ahead and I just chose it because I liked her name to get
to
get hired.
Right.
And it so happens to be that it was my wife who
Right.
got hired.
Yeah.
So when she got hired, and I was like, damn, who's that new girl? She looking kind of nice. And then my best friend Alex was in there at the time, and he goes, bro, that's the new girl, Tatiana. I was like, that's Tatiana? Yeah, I'm gonna make her my wife. That's exactly what I said.
I'm done, bro.
And then I remember I was like, okay, cool. Let me get to know her in the workspace. Kind of make myself prevalent so that she kind of notices notice that I'm around.
Notices you, yeah.
And then I came up with this lie, guys. All right, it was a white lie. Obviously, you shouldn't lie, don't lie, guys. But what I ended up doing was that I told her, like, oh, I'm in charge of the schedules. So I kind of text everybody their schedules for the next day. Bro, that was not the truth at all.
That was
the schedule was set up on the door. Anyone had to go
Right.
take a picture of it,
Right,
but she didn't know. This was her first job too.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay.
so I go ahead and tell her, oh, I sent her everybody. She's like, oh, okay, cool. And she gave me her number, and then afterwards she's like,
done,
my
dude.
number doesn't work, so you have to hit me up through Instagram too. And then she gave me her Instagram, so I was like, all right, let's go. I'm like, I'm locked in.
Instagram. You got both.
I'm like, I'm locked in. I'm locked in. And then I forgot that she mentioned to me that her text messages doesn't work. So I remember I texted her, hey, and I felt like she left me on red the whole night. I was like, oh my God, I fumbled so hard right now. And then I went up to her, like when I saw her the next time at her working shift. And I was like, hey, I texted you. She's like, oh, no, bro, my text message doesn't work. You have to hit me up through Instagram. And I go, oh, thank the Lord I didn't fumble this yet. So then, let's see. Hello. How you doing? Yes, ma'am. So what ended up happening was that once I was able to, let me see. This is a latte?
Yeah.
Thank you. Here you go, Manny.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem. No problem. Once I was able to get that, then from there I kind of just started saucing her up a little bit. You get me? Like thinking, like, hey, what's up, beautiful? How you doing, girl?
Right.
What's up? Just kind of, getting to know her like how I normally am, but never with the intentions of wanting to just be friends. I know that I
Right.
wanted to make her my girlfriend. I know that I wanted to
Right,
date her.
right.
So I would be friendly enough to the point where she was like, what is this? What's going on right now? But not to the point where he's like, oh, he's trying to be a good friend. No. I'm trying to be a
Like
boyfriend.
you made it known.
Yeah, I made it
very
known.
Right.
And then I think it was like about a month after that, I was like, can I ask you out? Like, do I need to ask your mom or anything? But can I take you out? Because she's also a very traditional girl, comes from a very traditional family. So
Right.
like, they're really big on like, start meeting the parents and
Right,
stuff like that.
right,
And
right.
it's funny enough because she didn't have a car, so when they would come pick her up, I would go introduce myself, say hi to the mom, say hi to the stepdad and whatever, and then that's when they started to kind of like me, and then I was able to ask her out, and then that's when we dated. I think for like about from November to like November, December, January, February, for like 4 months, and then after 4 months of just dating, I made her my girlfriend on Valentine's Day. I kind of gave her like a girlfriend ring.
Yeah.
On Valentine's Day, like telling her, I want you to be my girlfriend. She's like, obviously, yes, I want to be your girlfriend. And then we dated from there. And then I did fumble the bag once because I remember this is why I said that even though I was dating my wife, I still had a very bad mindset, a very vanity mindset. I had this stupid idea that I was like, if my friends don't think that my girlfriend is hot, then I don't want to date her. So at one point, I ended up breaking up with my girlfriend because of that reason.
That's wild.
And the crazy thing is, bro, I didn't even ask for any of my friends' opinions. So it's like, I don't understand
where that came from.
But that's how I
Right.
knew that I was like, this is not God sent. And it took we were broken up for about 4 to 5 months.
Really?
And when we were
Okay.
broken up, we were still working together.
Oh my God.
Bro,
Sorry, that's horrible.
I'm telling you,
That's
dude,
horrible.
the whole Burger King hated me because she would sometimes sit in her car and just cry. Like, dude, I honestly wrecked
That's
my
wild.
wife's heart.
So wait, hold up. So, just out of curiosity, when when this happened, when you guys had broken up, how long were you guys had been together?
So I broke up with her, I think, I don't remember exactly, but I think in total 4 months we were not together.
Okay.
And I told her that when we broke up, not the intentions that if I was not getting back together, that she can date, she can do whatever she wants, find whoever, I'm gonna do the same. Like there's no ties, like there's no
Yikes.
there wasn't no hope of us getting back together.
Right.
But bro, when I tell you that this girl really fought for me, she really wanted, she really loved me, she wanted to be with me because she was already in love. I was too, I just didn't notice because I was being dumb.
Right.
She ended up praying and she's like, Lord, let him see that I'm his wife, man. And I promise you, bro, it was in November. I remember this day I was going up the elevator when I lived in the apartment complex, and I felt like scales fell out my eyes, and I was like, dude, I broke up with my wife. What the heck am I doing?
Right.
Bro, as soon as I had the chance and I saw her, please take me back. I'm so sorry. That was my fault. Took me back, and now we're here happily ever after.
Right.
7 years in,
Damn,
years
man, what
in
a
marriage.
story.
I know, bro. It's crazy, man.
What a story.
And bro, to be honest, I tell people this and they go, George, you had the audacity. Bro, my wife is awesome. She's beautiful. She's great. And I'm thinking over here to myself like, oh, I could do better. No, I can't. Come on. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. That's for you, buddy. Let me get this. And I was like, hell no, I can't.
Yeah.
I got a Colombian queen straight from Cali, Colombia. All natural, beautiful. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, George, it's a good thing you didn't fumble. It's a good thing she took you back. Because honestly, man, I told my mom about this. She's like, man, if I was her, I would have made you wait a whole 6 months to get back with me. And I was like, damn, Mom, you mean. You evil. You really would. You would have made. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie. If she would have told me, no, give me some time, bro, I would have waited until she was okay. I would have waited until she we were
Right,
locked
yeah.
back in because, dude, she's a. I promise you, best decision I've ever made, and I
Right.
think one of the most important decisions to make is who you choose as a spouse.
Right.
And at least on my end, bro, I'm blessed that I had a really good spouse, or I
Right.
have a really good wife, and that was able to not just bless me with her
Yeah.
presence, but also with her love and how she is. So,
Yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
so yeah, bro. So I think
That's
yeah, man.
that's awesome, man.
I know, bro. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm blessed, bro. I'm blessed.
And I
And
mean,
can't complain.
for sure, bro.
Ooh, hot.
This is straight out the oven.
Yeah, that's it. Shout out to Duncan. Good
For
job,
sure.
guys.
The realest.
Black decaf. Guess how I like it. Yeah.
I'm gonna wait for this.
Yeah. You can put the seat back a little bit more if you want from the bottom.
Appreciate
So
it.
you have more room. Now, with that being said, you know how we talked about the relationship and the belief system. What is your belief system? What is it that you do believe? Do you believe in God? Do you not believe in God? Are are you in between? Are you still on the journey of discovery? Like,
Yeah.
what's that looking like?
Yeah. So I'm gonna start this off by saying, there was this video I saw on Instagram earlier this week. And I thought it was so funny, right? Because so it's this guy, right? He's one of those guys that does interviews to people just that were on the street, like asking them something similar, what's your belief system, like
Okay.
what was your last long-term relationship? Are you in a relationship, right? So he's asking this guy about if he's in a relationship,
Yeah.
and initially the guy says no. And then, a second later, he's like, "Oh, wait, I actually am in a relationship, right?" And then the guy's like, "Wait, so why'd you have to think about it?" And he's like, "Oh, because it's a little bit complicated. We've been on and off the last 15 years, right?" And then he was like, "Oh, well, do you love her?" And then the guy's like, "Oh, well, it's not a girl." And then the interviewer guy's like, "Oh, are you dating a guy then? Are you gay?"
Yeah.
And then he's like, "No." What's it called? He's not from this world, right? And I'm like, and then the guy's like, what are you talking about? He's like, "Oh, I've been in an on and off relationship with my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for the last 15 years." And you know something? I thought that was funny.
That's
I
hilarious,
got to the end
bro.
of the video and I was like, okay, that's funny, right? But also though, I'm like, so true though. I'm like, this is a very true thing, and I would say it's kind of a true thing to me, because look, since I have memory, right, I had been going to church, right, from, when I was really, really young. My parents introduced me to church. It was a Baptist church that probably isn't too far from here, maybe a good
Okay. So it's
20
local.
minutes. Yeah, it's local.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
maybe
awesome.
20 minutes from here. The church is still standing to this day,
Do your parents still go to the same church?
No. So they actually don't live here. My parents live up in Orlando, right?
Okay.
But my parents are very devout Christians.
Okay.
My dad at one point was a pastor. They're
okay.
very big on faith, right? But basically, I grew up in a Baptist church. Then I went to a church that was more non-denominational, but it was still Christian,
Christian.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then afterwards, I would say probably that second church was non-denominational. The third church I went to, which is when I moved to Central Florida, I believe it was also non-denominational as well, right? And that was the main church that we went to till I was about 18 years old, right? But I'm definitely someone that believes that even if you go to church, right, like I did for all those years when I was younger, definitely it's you don't have maturity enough, or at least me at that point didn't have maturity enough to really be oh, is this what I believe, me believe, or do I believe this because of my parents? This is what
Gotcha.
what my parents have brought me into, and this is all I know, right? So I would say since I left living with my parents when I was 18 years old, there's definitely been a big journey in kind of figuring that out, right? Being what do I believe in, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like that guy was saying in the video, kind of an on and off relationship
my
with
Lord.
yeah,
That's
right.
so funny.
But definitely I would say, right, that that there's been some tough moments within the last 9 years, right? We were talking about, sometimes you just have to make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, right, I'm definitely, and I don't shy away from saying this, I'm definitely someone that give thanks to the Lord every single day that, you know, like
Amen.
I just am where I am. I just am where I am, you know, at this point.
Yeah.
And definitely as far as my relationship with church, right? It's been something that I feel like I've just been trying to get better at within the last few years. I would say thankfully, like, you know, start of 2024, I'm thankful that me and my girlfriend have been able to go pretty constantly to church, right?
Yeah.
And it's something that I really enjoy. I feel like when I go to church, that's my time with God, regardless of whatever has happened throughout the week. It's
Yeah.
just kind of a nice moment of reflection, hearing a good preach and being able to take that in, reflecting
Absolutely,
on
bro.
that, right? So definitely, as far as my belief system goes, I definitely believe that, you know, God died for, you know, all of our sins,
Sins,
right?
yeah.
And
Jesus Christ.
the, you
cross.
know, this is like that at the end of the day, right? When I look at my life, I think of like, man, like again, so many things have happened over the course of the last 27 years, right?
Yeah.
But when I think about like God, right, I'm like, well, you know, at the end of the day, this is all that matters. You know, like this is really all that matters, regardless of where I find myself in my life. This is what matters.
No,
Yeah.
bro, and I would say that reigns 100% true, because first of all, the fact that we're able to walk, talk, live, breathe, eat, all these other things, it's a true blessing. It's a huge true blessing, just because of the fact that not everybody has those privileges or those opportunities to be able to do so. So I think it's great, bro, that you know you've cut that. And I'm a strong believer, because the Bible does say this. It does says that if they start to serve you from little, it'll be difficult for them to part their ways. Right? I'm just paraphrasing.
Right.
It's not actually how it's actually stated.
Right.
So I think, bro, that in this journey that you're kind of going through of discovering and finding the Lord and all these other things, it's just a matter of just God saying, Manny, I've been waiting for you. It's time for you to come back home. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like now, as we get older, is when we're a little bit more prevalent to see God's hand work in our lives more than we did when we were younger.
We couldn't understand.
Yeah, exactly. We
Couldn't
didn't understand.
understand it.
And at that point, I think when you were younger is when we literally walked on blind faith.
Right.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, I grew up.
I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, bro. I grew up a Christian all my life, since I was the age of 8, and now I'm turning 31 next month, right? So I would say from the ages of 0 to 18, I didn't really have any. I had struggles, you know. I dealt with like maybe masturbation, pornography, stuff of that nature, but there wasn't no external factor. That was probably the biggest thing that I had. And then obviously, like, being rebellious, talking back to my mom, stuff like that, that eventually the Lord rectified.
Things
and
we
took care
all
of me.
go through.
Things that we all go through, exactly. But life really hit me once I got older, and I go, dang, I have to deal with this and more. And I was like, the responsibility, and then, you know, now being a husband, having to learn how to lead my wife, my marriage, and then when I become a dad, learning how to lead my kids, and stuff of that nature. So then I'm like, dang, Lord, I really do need you more than anything, because first of all, no one teaches you how to be a husband. Second of all, there's no handbook or place to teach you how to be a father. And then on top of that, you have to go based on what you know, and then try to make sure that you don't make the same mistakes or do the same things your parents did to you. You get me? Because we also do all have a background. We do have a fundamental system from our parents in regards to what they raised us, from how you clean the bathroom to what you do to the music you listen to. You kind of like all kind of embrace together. So all that to say that, honestly, from when I was younger, it was just on blind faith that I believed the Lord. But I really didn't get to see the Lord's hand move in my life until I was a little bit older. And on top of that, I was able to make more connections with people. Because I was able to make more connections with people, I was able to get more testimonies of how God worked in their life. And I said, if God can do it in them, then God can do it in me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, man. So honestly, I'm happy that you do believe in God. I'm happy that you are on that journey, and it's only gonna get better from here, bro. Honestly, man.
Definitely,
it's gonna get.
I hope so. You know, like I definitely really do. You know.
No, yeah, it is, bro. It is, bro. And believe it or not, sometimes like I heard there was this preaching that this pastor was saying. I forgot what church it was, but the pastor was saying, he was talking to a kid, and the kid was like, oh, but if I become a Christian, I have to stop cursing. Or if I'm a Christian, I have to stop smoking weed. Or if I'm a Christian, I have to stop drinking. He goes, it's not that you have to. It's that as the closer you get to Christ, you're no longer going to want to do those things.
Right.
So it just goes to show you that and when it comes to serving the Lord and in Christianity and believing in God, it's not so much that God is telling you can't do this. Is that the closer you get to God, you're not gonna want to do this. You're gonna be like, you know what? I'm probably gonna abstain from doing that. I'm probably not gonna say what I need to say, speak this way no longer. Probably not gonna consume this. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do X, Y, 1, 2, 3,
Right,
the other.
right.
You get me? And it doesn't become so much of someone telling you what to do. Now it's just your relationship with God, and you're like, you know what, Lord, I don't. This
That's a great
isn't
way to
right with
put
me
it.
anymore.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
That's a good way to
Because
put
who
it.
am I to tell you, yo, stop cursing, Manny? You get me? Like, George, who the heck are you? You get me? Like, who are you? But if I tell you, hey, man, I don't think cursing is the best way to go, but you'll figure out as you get closer to God, come to church, come listen to the Word of God, and you'll see that eventually you'll be like, you know what? I probably just changed my vocabulary.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, right, I feel like it's like little subtle things like that, right, that when, like, currently right now, the church that I'm going to, which is, I'm sure you've heard of it, VU.
Voo.
Right.
Amazing
yeah,
church.
Yeah. So
we had, what is it? Pastor Rich Wickerson.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
had him
his
in
wife,
our
Donchery,
yeah. We had him in one of our conferences at church.
Really?
Sacerdotes. Yeah.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
really dope. Yeah. Cool. Awesome church.
But definitely, I feel like being there, right? Even though it is a bigger church, which they actually opened a location in Miami Gardens like recently,
Nice.
right. So that's
That's closer to you then.
no,
That's
yeah,
even better.
exactly. Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
that's the one that me and my girlfriend go to every Sunday now. But definitely, I would say being within that environment, being within that community. I don't know, so, some people, right, would refer to it as like corny or whatever, right? But look, the reality is honestly that I feel like when you're within that environment, you're just like, really, what good does this do to my life?
Yeah.
Like what type of benefit do I have, like being this way or, all this stuff, right? And it really does make you reflect and think about yourself. And I do I do now find myself just catching myself a little bit more. Like when I do something that maybe I'm just like not so proud of, or I say something and I'm just like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have said that, or maybe, I should think a little bit more before I speak,
And see,
like
and no one
things
told
like
you to do that.
No.
That's just you.
It's kind of product of,
Of your environment.
Correct,
you're just being in a place, and no one's forcing you to do this. Now you're putting yourself in a space where you're like, you know what, maybe I see how people are, I see the way they speak. Yeah, I like that. I probably shouldn't be speaking this way anymore. You get me? Something as simple as cursing or just, saying curse words, stuff like that. So I think that's awesome, bro, because literally that's where true change comes from.
Yeah.
If I were to tell you every single day, banter to you, stop cursing, stop cursing, stop cursing, stop cursing, you won't. You're probably just cursing even more just because I keep telling you.
Out of spite.
Out of spite, exactly.
Spite, yeah.
But if you start to have a relationship with God and you're like, you know what? Jesus, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I want to better myself. It's like, and then if you really think about it, does cursing really even have any type of edification to your life?
No, yeah.
It's just a word. You get me? Like,
Right.
and I always use this. I always tell people, if you were born without it, then you can live without it.
Right.
It's not something you need. It's just something that it's a product of your surrounding. I understand that if your family curses, then I expect you to curse as well.
Something that you picked up.
Exactly, you picked
that
up. You
sort
get
of
me?
thing.
But overall, Manny, I'm glad to hear that, bro. I'm glad that you're in a Bible-based church like VU.
You.
I'm glad that you're serving the Lord and you're on your journey. And this is a journey forever to come. And what's crazy is that this brings to memory. Remember when we were by the way, guys, if you guys don't know, me and Manny went for my best friend Anthony, his good friend Anthony as well, his probably best friend Anthony. We went to Tennessee for a bachelor party. Nothing crazy,
Right.
We were a bunch of old heads. We literally went to a president museum to see.
Yeah.
Remember Andrew Jackson? We went to go see the Andrew Jackson Museum.
Right.
Honestly, guys, how he owned people and slaves
fun.
and that crap. Yeah, it was crazy. We were literally on his land where he owned like 100,000 slaves. And it was a whole Billy Hog.
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing about that. That was
no, but it was crazy because honestly, I didn't think they were gonna make something like that a museum, like a whole thing about him.
right.
But they did, and I was like,
I mean, like when you think about it, it's like sus, honestly.
yeah,
sus.
it's just like
this land that we're currently walking on, maybe like 100, 200 years ago, there were actually slaves here.
yeah, that's crazy.
That's history. That's
But
crazy.
but I remember when we were there, me and Manny kind of had a chance to kind of depart from the group where we talked, and it's crazy to see that from then you weren't really sure when we had that conversation where you were just kind of in. I don't know if you remember. I don't remember that. I remember this conversation because
I don't remember that.
you and me were talking, and that's when I remembered that you were a pastor's kid and that you kind of grew up in the church, but then you also were kind of in between. You were like, oh, yes, no, and then there, and then from seeing that to maybe seeing how it is now that you're completely sure now, it's just crazy to see how that transpired within that time frame, you know?
Yeah, for
so
sure.
it's a true blessing, bro. And I know you might not remember, but I do remember just because I do like having those conversations with people, and I would consider them tough conversations because some people get really defensive about their belief or they're defensive or get really defensive about just trying to disprove God.
Right.
But our conversation was so awesome, like it was great. Like, and then on top of that, remember that trip we also had ridiculous, dumb conversations at 3, 4 in the morning. Bro, we barely slept that whole
Hold up.
weekend.
What was that one about? Like, I think it was like outrunning a bear. Or
Oh,
something. That was at the airport. Where were we?
No, it wasn't outrunning the bear. You know what it was? It was that we were in the car and I was like, if I floor the car right now over this hill, Manny, you were saying, oh, I'll have enough time to unbuckle my seat, open the door, and get out.
Right.
I'm like, Manny, if we're going from 0 to 40 to 50, you're not going to have time to get out of the car.
Nah,
It was crazy.
Probably not, right? Yeah.
That was a crazy trip, and one of my favorites. It was
Right.
awesome.
Good food.
Yeah, bro, good food. Really good eats over there. Tennessee, shout out to you. Really good eats. But besides that, bro, we're here at Dunkin'. What did you end up getting, guys? I ended up getting black decaf coffee because I think you know this. I have type 2 diabetes.
Right.
So now I kind of work out for my health. Primarily, I work out so that I don't get worse. You get me? I don't do it so much for aesthetics, even though it might come with it. But for the most part, and I do. Don't get me wrong. I work out and I'm like, oh man, I kind of like the way I'm looking now.
Right.
But
you feel good.
I feel good.
And that's important as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mostly do it for health, meaning that if I were to continue to work out and I see no change in my body, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, it's to make sure that my type 2 diabetes is in check.
Yeah.
So this is
That's the most important
and
thing,
caffeine
that
is
you're
not
healthy.
something that I can have. So this is a black decaf. You ended up getting what?
Vanilla latte.
And then that sandwich is amazing. I love that sandwich. by the way.
You've had the sourdough sandwich?
Bro, I've had it too many times. I think that's
fire.
why I have type 2. I've had it too many times.
Oh,
Dog.
no.
Guys, my diet before was horrendous. Like, let me walk you through the day of the life of George before aware of type 2 diabetes. I would wake up, and bro, there was times where I eat a whole plate of like croquetas. Like a Victory Bakery croquetas. Bro, it's stupid. It's crazy. I would eat that.
George, no way, man.
Yeah, bro. Then I would eat
That's
that.
wild.
and
Wait, hold
then
up. Like, how many?
The whole thing. The whole tray.
That's wild.
Bro, I would knock down like 18 like in like a matter of a minute.
Dude,
like,
George, what?
popping pills like crazy. So I was doing
That's
that,
wild.
and then pastelitos, and then coffee with sugar and cream, and then I would get home and eat 2 pounds of pasta, then maybe some pizza, and then some crumble cookie, which has like 1,000 calories per cookie. It's ridiculous. All that to lead up to, and then on top of that, due to my ignorance, I was like, oh, if I don't feel bad, there's no need for me to go to the hospital to go get a doctor's checkup.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure if I would have done that sooner, I would have caught it when I was maybe pre-diabetic, and then maybe would have done something about it. But I know myself, and if it doesn't hit the fan, there is no change for George.
Right.
Meaning that I hate the fact that I'm like this and I'm trying to change it, but that it needs to get worse before it has to get bad before it can get better.
I feel like a lot of guys are like that.
Bro,
So sorry to cut you off,
no,
George.
yeah.
But I do definitely, like, for example, right? And this is gonna be bad, right?
Yeah.
So like I haven't had a physical maybe in like a few years now, man. And that's so bad. Like, it's terrible. You're supposed to have one like at least once a year,
At
you know,
least
just
once,
to make
go.
sure that you're okay.
And I think it's covered by your basic health insurance.
Bro,
like it's free.
The crazy part is, like, I've had health insurance the last maybe like 5 years or something, and
you haven't used it.
No, I mean, look, I've done the dentist within that time.
Yeah,
I've done
yeah,
different things and stuff. I've done freaking chiropractor, like different things. But physical specifically, it's like, bro, like this is actually really important.
Yeah,
Why haven't
man.
you gone to do it? So I've been thinking about that in the last few days. I need to schedule time.
Bro,
to
you
do
know what's
that.
yeah, bro. But you know who changed my mind about it? My friend Anthony. He changed. He's like, why?
like our Anthony?
Yeah, our Anthony. He told me, why? Think about it this way: you're paying for a service that you don't use. It's like paying for a gym membership and never going to the gym. You're just wasting your money.
That's a very Anthony thing to say.
Yeah, it is.
That's a very Anthony thing to
I
say.
was like, dude, you're so right. Why am I paying for health insurance and it's coming out of my paycheck every 2 weeks if I don't even use it?
Mm-hmm.
And bro, that's when I was like, you know what? I gotta get on my
You're
stuff.
right, honestly.
So that's why I have an appointment with an endocrinologist, which is a diabetes doctor, to try to see what I can do to better this, because eventually I do want to get to the point where I can reverse it 100% and just continue that lifestyle. And I would say I made a lot of changes. I went from like 224 pounds to like maybe 204, 205.
That's good.
I lost 20 pounds there. I put on some muscle. I work out about 3 to 4 times a week now.
That's awesome.
And you noticed, because you saw me when I was really, really fat to like how I look now.
Right.
So obviously it's great, but I know, so I'm mostly doing it for health. I have my little meter that I'm always pinching and checking my fingers just because, and I also kind of experiment in a way that I kind of like, all right, let me eat this and see how it does affects my blood sugar. Let me eat this and see how this affects my blood sugar. Let me eat this and see how it affects my blood sugar. And I just kind of do that to try to see exactly what I can and cannot eat.
Yeah.
But for the most part, my diet consists of bell peppers, some type of fish like salmon, a bunch of chicken, a lot of like either red meat or any type of actual animal style protein, eggs, Greek yogurt. The only fruits that I eat are the berries because they're very low on the low glycemic level. Strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries. A bunch of water because the more water I drink, believe it or not, I can piss out the sugar and bring down my glucose levels.
Right.
So yeah, dude, and now I'm trying to get a physical. I'm trying to get to the diabetes doctor, try to get this thing under wraps because I'm very hard-headed and I refuse to let food control me. And I don't want to be those people that have that I'm so bad that either I start losing limbs or I'm no longer functional. Manny, at one point when I was that big, I couldn't bend over to tie my shoes. It's wild.
That's insane.
I couldn't bend over to tie my shoe.
That's crazy.
I couldn't go down on. I couldn't hit the T-bow to tie my shoe because my stomach was in the way. So I had to put it to the side and be like,
No.
bro, it was bad.
It was bad.
And
yeah.
I can't believe that I let myself get that big. And then on top of that, like, I also look at it from this perspective as well. My wife didn't sign up to have a type 2 diabetes husband or an obese fat husband either.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's not fair to her, and it would be really irresponsible of me and to my wife and to my future kids for me to continue to eat in such manner where I know it's killing me instead of being better for me. So this is why I made a whole drastic change in my diet, and I'm a lot more cautious about it. And then thankfully now with 2024, there's a lot of places that has a lot of options. And anywhere you go, you can always find a salad. Just double or triple the protein. You're locked in. You get me? Well, yeah, man. So that's kind of the little bit of the intro in regards to that, and a little bit of based off of us. So now we're gonna get into a couple of more hobbies and interests. So
Yeah.
do you have any hobbies or interests that you actually do right now that you want to talk about? Something that you're doing? I know. First of all, guys, if you guys don't know, Manny does a lot of movie reviews, and I love this guy for it. Okay, he's a big cinema guy. Follow him. What's your TikTok?
Huh? What's my TikTok right now, actually?
What is your TikTok account?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to think what the ad is.
Don't worry about it. If anything, we'll say it towards the end.
Right.
But,
We'll say it when I can think about it.
But he has a lot of cinema reviews, and I feel like that's one of your hobbies, or is there more of an interest, or what are you doing with that?
For sure. So, yeah, I feel like this is probably the more like, I guess like, I don't know, I wouldn't say like interesting thing to talk about, right?
Yeah.
But like, movies have been a big part of my life for like as far as I can remember, right? Like, definitely I remember there was a place here in Miami that when I was really young, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember when VHSs were still a thing, right? Yeah.
Good old
like
movies.
back in the day.
And you have to rewind the film in the back. Oh my God.
So I remember going to, there's a really cool like thrift place that's really popular now in like, I don't even know what area of Miami it is. Let's say Hialeah. It's basically, and it's right next to Hialeah Hospital.
Everything's in Hialeah.
Right, everything's in Hialeah. But it's this thrift shop called the Red, White, and Blue Thrift Shop, right? And basically there, my mom would take me as a kid, and, she'd just go shopping. She was a big thrifter, growing up.
Cool.
But for me anyways, I always remember me going to the VHS section and looking for that one specific VHS, right? I was always into, like, Power Rangers.
Facts. Same
and
thing. Let's go.
and
Tommy Oliver.
Right.
My guy.
Power
R.I.P. though.
Right.
David Frank. R.I.P.
Yeah,
David Frank.
I forgot.
Bro, that was my guy. I was really sad when he passed away, bro.
Yeah.
David Frank, that was my bro. I love that guy.
Definitely.
I think every boy growing up wanted to be the white Power Ranger.
No, dude, yeah, man. I had his action figure.
I
had the action figure.
I freaked out because when I went to Comic-Con, I saw a guy dressed in the Power Ranger, like a cosplay.
Was this recently? Or a few years ago?
Recently, I would say maybe this, like, not too recent, but I would say maybe like about a year ago,
Was it before he died? Because he
No,
died,
no. I didn't see him. I saw somebody dressed in a
Dressed
Power
like him.
Ranger. Yeah,
Okay,
but
okay.
he was supposed to be there, but he didn't end up
He didn't
going.
show up.
Yeah, and
I-
then
I know
a few
that he-
months after is when he passed.
Yeah, I did know that he did go to events like that, or he frequently went to events like that.
It's morphin' time. Love that, bro.
But anyways, yeah, and I feel like that's kind of like where my love for movies started. Like at a really young age, like I would just go and I'd pick out very specific like VHS tapes and stuff. And you know what sucks is as well, like when you're a kid, right? You don't know like the things that you have, because I mean the reality is a lot of those, like for example collectible Transformers or collectible like Power Rangers, I would have kept those things, or like the VHS tapes.
Yeah.
I would have kept them, you know, as memories, and you know, it's just cool to have. I had a huge collection when I was younger, but probably just gave them away as I got older or something like that. Sucks,
Dang,
right?
bro.
But that it is what it is, right?
It is what
But
it is.
I feel like definitely that love for movies, even from like a young age, it's been there. Like it would always be a matter of like looking at like a trailer of a movie and then just being like, man, like I don't have the money to go to a theater to like watch the movie, or you know, like who's gonna take me even to the theater, because where I lived in Central Florida, it was extremely secluded. You had to drive like maybe 40 minutes out to the nearest theater. Like it wasn't ideal, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like when I moved here when I was 18 years old, man, like I don't know, man. Maybe we're reaching the 1,000 marks. Who knows how many times I've gone to the theater since I moved back here when I was
Dang,
18.
dude.
Like definitely.
Do you have that membership where you're able to go see like a movie?
Oh yeah, no.
Like
Okay, hold
it's
up.
like an AMC.
Hold up, George. I'm gonna be saying this on camera. I currently have 2 memberships.
Oh my god.
Currently, right? Because of like a mishap or whatever, and I'm like kind of cheap, honestly. So I wanted to cheap out on an AMC membership, and then they got me for like 3 months. So like now I'm stuck with it for 3 months, but it's okay. It's okay.
Well, see, that's the thing. I think it's good because for people who love cinema like you do and love film, it's worth it. Me and my wife, we don't even go to the movies that often. And if we don't go as a group, like with a bunch of friends, we're not going.
Right.
So it's like I like movies, but like okay, the last movie that I was hype about to go see was Iron Claw.
Oh yeah. Were you watching theaters?
Oh my god, that movie's so good, bro. Zac
Oh,
Efron
man.
killed it.
Yeah, you did.
Killed it. Bro, that movie, bro, I was so heartbroken in that movie.
Yeah, no.
Oh my god. I didn't
agree.
expect it to
But-
be that,
but
dude.
by the end of it, man, I was
I
like,
shedded tears.
I felt emotional.
No, bro, I cried in that movie. I was
I
like,
definitely
bro,
felt
I can only
emotional.
imagine putting myself, bro. Amazing performance, dude. Such a good movie.
Really good.
Great movie, bro.
I agree.
To me, at least, best movie of 2023. I mean, of
Yeah, it was
20
20. No, you're right. It
2023,
was 2023.
2023,
Yeah.
So good, bro.
But yeah, definitely. I feel like there's always been kind of like a hunger there, right, for like wanting to like being interested in movies. And to tell you the truth, right, I had this conversation with my girlfriend yesterday because we went to Pembroke Lakes, you know, with like the mall and stuff, and she did some shopping, and she said something that I definitely really relate to. She's like, you know, I got paid today, and it's like, okay, like I want to treat myself and I want to get myself something nice, because if I'm just kind of working to pay my bills, pay my car insurance and all that
It's not a
stuff,
life, bro.
it's just like you start feeling it after a while. That's the reality, right? So I feel like it's those little things that you're able to do outside of your job, right? Which, you know, like again, working is great within itself, right? But I feel like also our lives shouldn't be consumed by it either.
Yeah.
So if you're able to have something that you love doing, right, outside of, you know, your 9 to 5 or your 8 to 5, right, then just go out there, you know, like, and do it, have some fun, you know, make a podcast.
Yeah, bro. This for me, this is my side project, my extracurricular activity. But this is something that I believe it or not, I've had in mind for a while.
Yeah.
I just never pulled the trigger because I was like, I don't ever really see myself in the creatives. I'm mostly of a white collar type of guy.
Right,
Meaning
right.
that I'm gonna have my 9 to 5 plus I have like a pressure washing business that I do on the side, and that's kind of always been my shtick. But now I feel like this is something cool. Like I don't know. It's just I feel like with my friends and people that I know and people that I run into, there's room for great conversation about anything. And I think that's something that is awesome because conversation is kind of, it's
I
where
mean,
it's at.
yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean? It's just so cool to be able to get two different perspectives, agree to disagree, and see how the conversation
It's
goes.
always interesting to see like what someone thinks about something.
Yeah.
That's the
So,
reality.
as the podcast is for me, would you say that's what cinema is for you? Or is it
Yeah,
deeper than
yeah,
that?
yeah, definitely. So, I think the reality is, right, and you were mentioning how, like, I would say probably toward the more the tail end of last year and some of the beginning of this year, I was making, like movie reviews and, that sort of thing. That's something that, I mean, look, I grew up, and again, this probably started around the time that I moved here when I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's people on YouTube that I've been watching for like maybe like 10 years, right?
Wow.
Or something close to 10 years.
Committed, huh?
I remember being in college, right, and just watching certain movie reviewers and being like, man, like that must be such a cool job,
Right?
Like that must be such a cool job to have, and just imagine being paid for that. So the reality is, at least the way I see it, right? Um, working in movies, whether that's creating them, whether that's film criticism, any of that, right? Definitely for me, I feel like that'll always be end goal, to work in anything that has to do,
With film.
with movies, with film, because that's something that I just love doing. Like I couldn't imagine like the job that I have right now. It's great. It's a hybrid job. I get to work some days at home, some days in the office. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely do, right? But definitely, though, it's kind of like, okay, do I see myself doing this job maybe for another 10 years? I don't know. I just started it about like 4 months ago now, right? But do I see myself wanting to talk about movies, going to the movies in 20 years? Of course I do.
Yeah, bro.
Like that's something that is completely sure in my mind that
Yeah.
I'll just continue wanting to do because I just love it. So yeah, I mean,
Okay.
like at the end of the day, right? I mean, like if you have something that you're passionate about and everything, like I'm just definitely a big believer that like it's great to be passionate about something, but also like if you're able to make that like your reality, then go for it. Like,
Yeah,
go
yeah.
for
And
it.
honestly, and nowadays we live in such a radical generation
Mm-hmm.
where any idea that you have, anything that you want to do, you can make.
Yeah.
And especially if you love it, you can make it something that can make it profitable, so that you can make a living.
Yeah.
You can make a living out of something that you love
Yeah.
to do.
Absolutely.
So in regards to you and your cinema, do you care where in the space you're at? Like, are you more towards the reviews and the critics, or you would be honored to be in a production, in
Well,
acting
yeah,
or
yeah.
directing,
For sure.
or you know what I mean? Even
that's
a
a-
guy in the background, you'll be guy number 2. You're just like, guy number 2.
Right. I think that's a good question. Definitely, I would say, like, I can appreciate what acting is, and when I see an incredible acting performance, like you were saying with Zac Efron, amazing performance in The Iron
Great
Claw.
performance. Oh,
But
great movie.
me personally, I feel like very similar to my spiritual journey,
Uh-huh.
right? It's my journey with like movie and cinema is something that I'm still currently on right now, right?
Gotcha.
It's something that I feel like I think about I think about this stuff every single day. That's just the reality, right? But I would say, right, as you get older, as you get more responsibility, sometimes it's really hard to manage like being like having your like for me, my 8 to 5 job,
Yeah.
and then right after being like putting myself in that mentality. All right, let me put out a review right now, right?
Yeah.
Like it's sometimes I would say it's something that I've definitely struggled with, right? I'm someone that very much has to have kind of like a schedule for something
Gotcha.
to just
To be able to have order.
stick
Yeah,
correct,
yeah,
stick
yeah.
within that schedule.
I'm the same way.
I don't thrive under kind of like spontaneity or
I
anything.
hate
No,
spontaneity.
I have to have it like scheduled out. Okay, on so and so day, I'm gonna dedicate 4 to 5 hours to do this.
Block
right?
scheduling.
Correct,
From
definitely.
from 8 to 5 I'm on my main. From 6 to 10 I'm doing movie reviews. 10
Right,
to whatever
right,
I'm
right.
spending time with the girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And bro, I 100% agree, dude.
Yeah.
I'm built the same way. I can't like. Don't get me wrong. I'm also a go with the flow type
Right,
of guy.
right.
I'm also very adaptable, and I would say
Right.
that's probably one of my best qualities too. That I can just. In any of my jobs, even if you say, "Hey, last minute, I need you to come in. I need you to do that."
Yeah.
Even if I don't know something, all right, we'll get this done. We'll figure it out. But I do like a good schedule, and I do like a good routine. I do like knowing what I'm gonna do the next day.
Yeah.
But then I also like the fact that my routine can also be spontaneous. There's also some form of spontaneousness
Yeah.
my routine.
And I feel like you have to be open to that as well. And I guess that's kind of like going back to the original question. That's kind of a part of the journey that, you know, sometimes things will come up that you won't expect, right? So I think as far as me and the place I am in my life right now, I think end goal definitely is film criticism, right?
Gotcha.
But I mean, like, look, if for example, let's just say, right, I were to be successful in this, right? I think in the long run, anyways, if I were to be successful in this, the next step would be, all right, I want to make my first movie. You know, like, I want to make my first movie. I mean, like, look, I'm also a big believer as well that it's never like too late to start either.
Never,
So,
bro.
for example, like if in a few years, right, again, I've been successful with film reviews and I'm like, hey, maybe I have a chance to go to film school and like I can learn more about what it is to make a movie. You know, like that's something I definitely would be interested in doing.
Because,
right?
bro, all you need is one film. Once you get one film out and you get people to like it,
Right,
and
no,
love it, then, bro, from there
absolutely.
you just kind of go with your niche and you just kind of go down the rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying?
You build from it.
Yeah, man.
That's-
And that would be awesome, bro. Going from a movie review critic to making your movie to now having movie review critics review your movie. Oh, that'd be so crazy. That'd be so full circle.
I think as well too that whole like space really depends on like kind of like we were talking about with spirituality.
Yeah.
Kind of like you putting yourself kind of like in an environment where it's like, oh, I'm surrounded by people who want the same things, who want to thrive in, you know, this field as well, in movies and everything. And I think that's definitely important too. But I think first integrating yourself into, you know, what it is to, again, be a movie critic, for example, right? Like, that's kind of like that first step. And then, you know, you just kind of like just start your journey from there and just see what happens along the way.
And I think that's awesome, bro, because it's also humble beginnings. And I think because of that, it teaches you to appreciate not just your craft, but what you love to do even more.
Oh, yeah.
You get me? Because I know that some people love what they do, but then once it becomes a job, they start to kind of push away from it.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're able to be thankful and be like, you know, and go from that angle, from that perspective.
Just know where you came from.
Exactly. Be like, you know what? Think about it, bro. This podcast, God forbid, not God forbid, but if God wants for it to blow up, it starts like this. And it's like, imagine where it can lead up to. Maybe next time I'll be in a bigger car, in a nicer car,
Right.
different type of guests. Don't really know. But all I know is that even if I get one follower or a million,
Yeah, no.
I love what I'm doing right
That's
now.
a step in the right direction.
Exactly, bro.
for
And I
sure.
love what I'm doing right now. So yeah, bro, that's what's up, man. I'm happy that your mind is fixated on that idea because it's not something that you should let go. It's something you should just continue to pursue. Bro, Morgan Freeman didn't start college, if I'm not mistaken, until like he was 50.
Really?
Or like finish until he was 50. One of those two.
Right,
So
right.
like if this guy was able to start at that age and to do what he's doing now, then bro, sky's the limit, man.
I feel like, you know, kind of like us thinking about, you know, our age and, you know, all that stuff. I feel like that genuinely is kind of just limitations that we put on ourselves. And, or like, for example, if you see someone that's your age and that they're more successful than you are, you're just on a different journey. I think that's the reality, you know, that person, like, for example, someone could be doing really good in life in the same way that same person, you know, couldn't, you know, like in like a week's time. Like that's just kind of how life is, right? Yeah. But definitely, I think the more important thing is being able to, you know, just focus on yourself, your growth, your journey, and then just again seeing where that takes you.
Yeah, man, because comparison kills, bro. Comparison kills, man. And I know that we live in a very big social media day and age where everyone's comparing to what the next person's do, and you're like, oh, you know what I mean? But I also feel that comparison can also be a good thing.
Yeah.
Because, for example, if my best friends who have reached a level of success, making 6 figures or more or something like that,
right,
instead of me being upset that they're there, it pushes me to work even harder to get there.
Right.
So then I tell them, yo, make sure you save me a seat next to you. Keep it warm because I'm coming up. You get me? Like it's one of those.
Love that.
It's one of those things where instead of it bringing me down, where I'm like, damn, how is he there and I'm not here?
Yeah.
If anything, it's like, show me how you got there.
Yeah.
Teach
absolutely.
me. What did you do? What was your strategy? All right, I'm going to do it. Now I'm going to get that, and I'm going to make it my own, and then I'm going to work as hard as I need to and just continue moving forward. I tell people this all the time. Your body's built forward. Mm-hmm. Ears, nose, eyes, mouth, legs, everything is built forward. What's the only thing that's in the back? Mm-hmm. And what's the only thing that comes out of there? So, put one and two together, my friend. We were never meant to
Right.
be going backwards. We were built. God built us to go
Yeah,
forward. So I mean
for
that
sure.
no matter every trial, tribulation, every type of failure, even there's success. There's such thing as success, failure, like good failure.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the gym the other day, and right now my bench PR at the moment is 275.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I went for 295, and I ended up failing. But the guy who was spotting me was like, "Hey, bro," but that was a good fail. Because the reason was that when I picked up 295 pounds over my body and I was able to bring it down and bring it midway up, I knew I was able to finish it. The weight didn't feel heavy to me. Now the only thing is that I did mess up. I went in there fasted and I didn't eat any food, so I needed a little. If I had food in me, I know I could have done it. But that was the thing that kind of clicked in my head, and I was like, that was a good failure. Meaning that the way you fail should also be very successful.
failure.
A good failure. You know what I mean? Like, it's what they're saying, I'm tired. But it's to go, I'm saying, man, but I'm good tired. Because today was a good day. Today was a productive day. I'm tired because I did so much.
Yeah.
And everything went out well that I could go home and sleep. And you'll get that good sleep, that good REM sleep because of how tired you are,
Right,
first of all.
right.
So I think there's also beauty and success in failure.
Mm-hmm.
I think failure is what also kinds of, it's not, doesn't have to be looked at as in a negative connotation, but it can be looked at as a way to boost us to do better.
Right.
Because think about it, you don't know good without knowing the bad.
Yeah.
You don't know success without knowing failure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think failure allows you to appreciate your success even more. Because you're like, man, have you seen The Pursuit of Happiness?
Pursuit of Happiness
With Will Smith?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
that
And
guy,
Jaden Smith. is in
Jaden
that
Smith,
one,
that
yeah.
guy's story crazy, and it's a true life story. I don't know how true it is,
Right.
but even them putting it in a very dramatic sense, where he went from his baby mama leaving him to him having to the IRS taking his money, from him having to sleep inside of a subway bathroom, and then teaching his son his lesson. I remember that his son was like, "Dad, I want to be a basketball player." There was a scene where his son is like, "Dad, I want to be a basketball player," shooting the ball. And Will Smith takes the ball, or Will Smith takes the ball and tells him, "You're not going to be no basketball player. You got to put your head in the books. You got to focus in school." And then the son throws the ball and walks away kind of like pouty and sad. And then his dad teaches him a lesson, tells him, "Don't ever let anyone tell you that you can't. If they say that you can't, it's because they can't. You can do it all. You can do it," kind of, more or less. So I was like,
Words to live by.
I
yeah.
was like, dang, Will. All right, say less. So when people tell me, "Oh, you can't do it like this, you have to do it this, or you have to do that," I'm like, you're saying that because
There's
you have to
no-
do it this, or you can't do it that way.
There's no like specific way.
Exactly.
Of, you know,
I'm like,
doing
but I'm him.
something.
And I got the Lord.
I'm him.
Trust me, it's gonna work out. I'm gonna be fine. It's just because you have limitations doesn't mean you have to put those limitations on me.
Right, right.
So I think in failure and in people challenging you, there's just a beauty to it where honestly you kind of have to be a little bit ignorant and be like, "Yo, I don't care what anyone says. I'm gonna do." Like, think about it. Noah, when he was creating the ark, people thought he was crazy because on Earth the rain has still not fallen from the sky. So people thought he was insane. But he listened to God, and what happened? It flooded.
Right.
So you know what I mean? Like, so even in the midst of craziness, in the midst of people judging you, in the midst of where people don't understand your idea or your project, I think that's the best, because that's when you kind of show up and show out. You're like, dang, what the heck? He's making movies now? Oh my God, Manny. This went from TikTok to movie.
Right.
Even
right.
Steven Spielberg? Oh my God. And it's just like, all that started because you didn't, first of all, didn't take crap from anybody, and just kind of made the love, passion that you have, the love for something, and you went full throttle on it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
get me? And I think that's the way to go, to be able to just pursue it and go hard in the paint, go
Yeah,
stupid.
yeah,
You get
yeah.
me? Like, that's the only way. That's the
Agreed.
only way. You get me? Don't get me wrong. We're gonna have our ups and downs, like I said, but make sure that the downs are good, and make sure that
Right.
the ups are great.
Yeah. A good failure.
A good failure,
failure,
bro.
yeah.
A good failure, man. A good failure, and that's helped me come to learn where, in a good failure, I technically don't fail.
Yeah.
Lesson learned. Got it. Keep it
All right.
pushing.
Let's
Bro.
go again.
Run it back.
Yeah.
Give me my salty run back. Run that back. Let's go. I'm doing this until I get it right. Run it back. And just keep going. You keep going, keep going. Because think about it. If after every failure you just kind of shut down, then you're never going to get to where you want to be at. But once you get there, you're like, wow, all those good failures allowed me to get to this place where it's even
Yeah.
greater, where I've reached greatness. You know what I'm saying? And I think that goes with everything. This is why, like, with the gym, I'm going to, I might not be going through a crazy cut or losing as much weight as everybody else, But if I can be able to stay consistent in 10 years, I'm going to look like a Greek god in 10 years. As long as I continue to keep doing what I'm doing, continue to keep pushing what I'm pushing, and we're going stupid.
Yeah.
But then also, I think in the long run, where I'm like, this is also not just going to affect me. I want my kids to grow up and be like, I see my dad wake up at 4 a.m. to go to the gym and work out. I see my dad eat the way that he eats. I see him that he worships the Lord the way he does. I see him that he plays this. I want to mimic and do what my dad does. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I think that's important as well. Like, you know, like, George, let me ask you, right?
Yeah.
Is that something that you see in your future within the next few years, like having kids or?
Bro, absolutely. Manny, I'm going to buy a home this year.
Okay.
Mark my words, guys. I'm buying a home this year with my wife. The moment I buy a home, before my wife puts that box down, she's pregnant. I'm clapping them cheeks, and I'm getting my wife pregnant. And I'm going to have kids. Bro, I've been wanting to get my wife pregnant since I was 18.
Okay.
But obviously, kids are a responsibility.
Right.
I want to be able to provide the
you
best
have
life
to-
for
you
my
have to
kids.
think about that,
I have
yeah.
to build for
You have
that.
to think
So
about
right
that.
now, pull out game strong. 7 years, going crazy. But as soon as we have a home, kids are coming right off rip because, first of all, I want kids. My wife wants kids. We want like 4 kids. And we want to adopt them. So we want a big family. We want a family like of 8.
Wow.
You get
A
me?
big family.
A big family, 7 to 8 people. Because, dude, like, there's no greater feeling than first of all, me being a husband, creating life for somebody that I love,
Right.
and then second of all, be able to raise
Right.
that life and just see that, man. Bro, and I think about this because I've been praying for my kids for like the last couple of years, even without me even having
Yeah.
them. I've been praying for them. I'm like, Lord, I need you to bless them. I need you to make them success. I don't even pray for their success. All I pray is for that their relationship with God is so cemented and so firm in Christ, so like concrete. Everything else will come and follow after that. No
Yeah.
problem. That I don't worry about. And on top of that, they're going to have me. All my success is their success.
Yeah.
Everything I have is theirs because they're my kids. They're my offspring.
Mm-hmm.
They're a part of me as much as they're a part of my wife.
Right.
Literally half of me and half of my
Definitely.
wife. So I can't wait to have kids, bro, because then I also think about, like, that's what I was going to get to. That all my kids are going to have a little bit of me, a little bit of my wife, and I can't wait to explore that and see who's the most George out of all my kids. Who's the most Tati
That's
out of all my
hilarious.
kids.
That's funny.
And to see, because I'm going to be like, yo, you're literally a copy paste of me.
Right,
That's
right.
crazy.
Right.
But you look like your mom. Thank the Lord.
I was gonna say that. So, as far as having kids, I mean, it's definitely something I want. Hopefully within the next few years, right?
Yeah.
But I would say me and Ingrid, right? The conversations that we've had about that. I think we'd definitely be okay with just 2.
Okay.
Like ideally, it would be a boy and a girl, right? But it's whatever God wants
Whatever
at the
God
end of the
wants,
day,
yeah.
right? But I think back to what we were talking about. I think something I've thought about more recently is I feel like growing up, my dad was a really good role model in his faith, being someone that was so devout, to Christ, and him just being a really good father figure in general, right?
Okay.
But
Outside of Christianity.
No, yeah, exactly.
being
No, yeah. My dad was a great dad, right? But I would say the one thing, right, that I want to maybe do better than my dad, right, is my dad is, again, he's a really hardworking guy, but he's been in a job that he hasn't necessarily liked for, I don't know, maybe the last like 25 years, right? He went from working this, again, same job last 25 years. He's done different departments within the job. And I mean, look, puts food on the table. I'm sure he's been able to save a lot for his retirement as well. He's been able to buy multiple houses, with this job that he has.
Wow.
Like it's provided. It definitely has, right?
Good
And,
looks, Dad.
and thank God for that, right? But at the end of the day, like I've never necessarily seen my dad really happy with that job. He's
Yeah.
like, I gotta do it because I gotta do it. Like
responsibility.
I gotta work because I gotta work.
He was more content with the idea and settled because he needed the income at that point in time and to now.
For sure. And I mean, to think about it like from the perspective of my dad, he got to this country. I would say like similar stories, like yes and no, right? Because my dad got to Miami probably around the same time that I moved back. Like he My parents are from Guatemala.
Guatemala.
And my dad,
Guatemalteco.
my dad crossed the border when he was maybe like 18, 19 years old.
Shout
right?
out, Pops. I see you. I see you.
He crossed the border
Let's
when
go.
he was like 18, 19 years old.
Let's go.
He always talks about how his journey crossing the border, that's also where he found his faith as well.
Wow.
You know, like during the time when he was crossing the border, right? It's like a story of his.
Good story.
But I would say, right, from someone that had so many things against him, not having papers, being illegal, you know, for some time, right? All those things, right?
All those
obstacles that, you know, you have in front of you. I genuinely think he's done good for himself.
He's a hero of the story. He freaking killed it.
He's him.
He's him.
He's
Oh,
him.
your dad is him.
He's him. Like he was able to raise 3 kids.
Wow.
You know, thankfully, I mean, like I would say maybe I'm speaking more for my sisters. You know, I don't want to like toot my own horn like on me or anything, but I think he did a good job. You know, with me and my sisters, right? I think we turned out, you know, pretty okay.
Yeah.
Like I would say at the end of the day, the fact that we're all just like at our core, just good people.
Yeah.
You know,
Your
like
dad instilled that in
those
you guys.
values,
Yeah,
those
exactly.
values. And I think that's something that he can be proud of, right?
Yeah.
That he was able to do that. So what was I saying?
You were saying about your dad.
Right. So my dad, I think if you look at like the big picture, he did a really good job. He's also been married to my mom. I think we're getting closer to the 30-year mark and stuff. So he's had a really long, you know, not perfect marriage by any means, right? But like definitely like he's had a very like long, you know, marriage with my mom, and they love each other very much,
yeah.
you know? And I definitely want to follow along those same footsteps as my dad. I think what the difference is that I want my kids to know that they have the possibility of making a living, making a life, actually doing something that they love doing, you know, which I can't really say I saw a lot of, you know, growing up. If anything, I remember when I was really like a lot younger, my dad would always work like night shifts. So he would sleep throughout the day. And when me and my older sister, whenever we would fight, he would just he would wake up so mad because he was like sleep deprived and everything, having to deal with like 2 little kids and being like, why are you guys making so much noise? You know,
Shut up, trying to
exactly, like that sort of thing. And I mean, like, look, like being like I don't work a night shift and everything, but I can't imagine like me working my 9-hour shift, you know, throughout the day, man. At night, that's all I want to do, sleep, because I got to get up at like 6 in the morning, you know? So definitely I feel like a lot to admire there, but definitely in the sense of just like what I do as a career, what I do moving forward. I want them to know that like you don't have to be miserable to make a living. You don't have to be like, you know, like you don't have to put yourself through that, right? Like definitely, like you said, I think it's good to be able to understand where you come from, the difficult things that the difficult things that come along with being an adult. But I feel like if you're able to make it to that point, right, then now you're able to appreciate what you have just so much more.
Absolutely, bro. And honestly, I think it would be a very disrespectful shot in the face to our parents if we don't want to put them. You get me? I know my mom didn't come to this country to try to give me the life that she did for me in order to just be mediocre or to be in her same shoes. She's like, son, you came here, you're an American, you have the opportunities, you can make anything you want happen. So
sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit. So it's like, I feel like I think the best way to put it is that you're getting your dad's hard work and effort, but not putting it in something you love and then giving your kids that final product. That you have to be just as hardworking for something you love, and if you put that together, you don't have to be. You're gonna be working hard for something you love and not being miserable.
Right.
So I think, and that's awesome, bro. Because to be honest, nowadays nobody wants to work. Everyone's kind of lazy. Everybody they don't want to do nothing. Like, job gets a little hard, they have something to complain about.
Right.
But the previous generation, our parents, they built different. Bro, honestly,
they did whatever.
They did whatever they needed to do. And to be quite honest, depression for them was a luxury. Anxiety for them was a luxury. Because they're like, even if I'm depressed or anxious, I still have kids that I have to provide for.
Yeah.
I don't have time to be depressed. I don't have time to be anxious. I don't even have time to go to the doctors. I have to get this money. I have to work because I have to provide food on the table. Where now everybody and their mama, because they're not working, they're all depressed and they're all anxious. And don't get me wrong, I'm not taking away from people who are clinically dealing with anxiety or clinically depressed. Obviously, you have that. But if you think about it, even the people who are clinically anxiety or clinically depressed in the previous generation, for them had to be a luxury.
Yeah.
Because they needed to put in the work and the time and the efforts and to
Or-
do everything they needed. Or they were just so busy, they didn't have time to really
Yeah.
feel those feelings.
I was gonna say as well too. I feel like my mom and my dad, they come from a generation where very much like you're saying, like, oh, you know, it was a luxury, but also they were never raised to talk about those things. Or
Exactly.
they were never raised to, you know, like have that type of mentality, right?
Mentality.
And I mean, I could even say myself, like my parents, they raised me definitely better than what their parents did for sure,
Facts,
right?
facts,
And I mean
facts.
that's always the idea to improve, right?
Mhm.
But they definitely, like, even though we could talk about things, it wasn't like to the extent of like, definitely there were still a lot of things that, you know, we just didn't talk about, right? Like that's just the reality of it. So at least for me, right, I think it's important to have an awareness of like things like mental health, right? That like the reality is that
Facts.
men do struggle, you know, and that's a
Yeah,
thing,
yep.
you know, like I mean, like, you know, I always think about this, right? There's an episode in the Sopranos, right,
Mhm.
where one of the guys, he's just going through such a tough time, and he's one of the guys that's in the mob. He wants to leave the mob, right? But also they're like, no, like you can't leave. And then he's also, you know, like having he's also having issues with his wife as well, right? Within the show. And the Sopranos, right? have you ever watched it?
I've seen
George?
clips, but I've never watched it.
But you know, like they're really good at building characters, right? And like a lot of the time you're just watching this character episode by episode. He has like, you know, like little things going on. You know, he ends up killing himself, you know, because
Wow.
of just how much pressure he feels like he has within his life, him not being able to leave the mob, and his wife wanting him to, and you know, like the stuff with their kids and everything, right? And I just feel like it's like important
lot.
to be able to talk about those things, right?
Yeah.
Just so you don't get to that point where you just feel like you don't have anywhere else to go.
Yeah, man, and it's cool, and it's very true because there's this bad stigma where they think that men who share their feelings are considered weak. And I'm like, dude, that doesn't take away anything from your
Yeah.
masculinity. If anything, men do need a safe space where they can talk to, because women have it hard, men also have it hard.
Right,
as
right,
well.
no, for sure.
You get me?
We're humans at the end of the
We're humans
day.
at the end of the day, so we both have our issues and our struggles. But I would say women are a little bit easier in showing and expressing their emotions than men are. Men,
Yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like, you get me? Even to this
Men,
day,
men feel like they have to.
they
keep
have to
it,
like
yeah.
put in that strong facade.
Yeah,
you get me?
yeah.
So it is important to share, man. This is why I'm saying, like, back in the day, think about it. My mom was a single woman, 2 kids, and
That's
2 kids
tough.
with the aunt and my grandmother, which is, I would say, great compared to people who, like my mother-in-law, who had her and 2 twin daughters and no one else here.
Yeah.
That's even harder. That's crazy. So like,
Yeah.
for them to be able to come from that situation to where they are now, and continue to move forward, it's really inspiring to see that. It's like, wow, this is real life.
For
And
sure.
then this is why, like, there really is no such thing as excuses for for you to be able to, for you not to be able to do anything you want to do.
Agreed.
Because if you're able to just continue to push forward, learn from what your previous generation, learn from your parents. Like, I don't want to be with my parents. I've always said this to myself. I was like, I've never been. I'm here now, and my mom has given me this. My mom wasn't able to give me a car for my birthday. Wasn't able to give me bless me from a house. But my mom gave me something that I prefer over everything else. My mom, first of all, gave me the Lord and instilled that in me since I was
Right,
young,
right.
which to this day has flourished and God has blessed me. And second of all, my mom has instilled in me the ability of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing my mom work hard. I remember my mom going through the motions. We got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do it, making all these sacrifices. And then I'm like, you know what, Mom? And my mom says this when I was little. I always used to say this, and it's because I love my family so much. She's like, when you were younger, you got $100 for your birthday, and you said, Mom, I'm gonna pay the rent, I'm gonna buy groceries, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna take care of you. And I think every boy's desire is to take care of their mom because they've seen their mom or their parent
Yeah.
go through so much. And it's like, it would only be wrong of me if I don't reach a level of success to honor them back.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
I don't want to make more than I don't want to make six figures or more, or even a lot of money just for myself. I do it because if the Lord blesses me, it's because I want to bless others, and I definitely
being able
want to be
to
able to bless my mom for all that.
yeah, I 1,000,000% agree with
You know what
that.
I mean?
Like, I mean, I feel like something along the lines of, considering my mom, even up to this day, like, we live 4 hours away from each other, which, isn't that far, right?
Yeah.
But, like, still to this day, me and her, we speak, like, once a week with each other, right?
Keeping a relationship going, man.
She's someone that I love talking to, and I mean, like, the reality is that I wouldn't have a lot of the things I do now if it weren't for her and my
Yeah.
dad making the sacrifices that they
man.
have,
The
honestly.
sacrifices, yeah.
So,
And I think it's up to us to be able to go up to that call
yeah.
and really pick up the phone and be like, all right, I'm gonna be him, Mom. I got you. Like, I'm gonna do it.
I'm gonna be him.
I'm gonna be him.
I'm gonna be him.
You want him? That's me.
Right.
I'm coming at it, and you go full throttle. But yeah, bro. And just kind of a last question,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
something
yeah.
that I wait, so that we can kind of wrap this up.
Mm-hmm.
If this was our last conversation, what would you want to leave me with?
Oh, man.
If this, Manny, this was our last conversation,
That's a really
brother,
good question.
what would you want me to leave with?
Oh, man. That's a really, really good question. Huh.
I'll say it one more time just because I know how deep it is. You got to give it some thought.
And I think that's what it is. I have to give it some, like,
exactly.
thought. Like, what?
If this was our last conversation, what would you want me to leave with? I'll go. I already have mine.
All right, go ahead.
If
go
this
ahead.
was our last conversation, Manny, what I want you to leave with is that I love you. That Lord Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins, and that I love you. And that out of all things, as ridiculous as that may be, as much of a savage as I am, as vulgar as I can be, that in the midst of all that, I love you, and that I am and will be, continue to be a good friend to you. That's if anything, if that's the last conversation we have, that's what I would want you to say, or that's what I would want you to say because you've seen it.
Right.
George is a good friend. George was there for me. George loved me. George was cool. I was able to hit him up. Like, he wasn't absent. He was there. So that would be something that I would want you to leave with because, not to toot my own horn, but I am a good friend. And when I love my friends, I love hard.
Right.
Like, I love strong.
Right.
Like, regardless if you're wrong, like, let's say we're somewhere in the streets and you got into an argument and you're wrong, I'm defending you, like, if you're right, and then later on, I'll be like, you were wrong. But
I had your back.
I had your back the whole way, though.
Back.
There's no division here. So, at least the last thing I would want you to leave with me is that I'm a good friend and that I love you. That's me.
What would I want? Yeah, so, I mean, look, I think the reality is, right, and I feel like we're both, like, still young, right?
Yeah.
You know, George, you said you're 30?
30.
I'm 27, right? We're not that far in age, right?
No.
But I feel like there's a lot of times where, like, for example, there was are you familiar with the show The Boys?
Yes, I love that show.
And I don't know if you heard, but the spin-off show, Gen V, one of the main characters from that show actually tragically passed away at the age of 27 last week, right? And, I think about that, right? And I'm just like, man, like, like, just at such a young age, right? And I mean, I feel, right, like, you mostly hear of, like, when celebrities pass because, they're, like, people who, like, people know and, like, other celebrities are giving their condolences, right? But look, at the end of if I were to leave you with something, I would just say probably, like, enjoy the time that you're here. Just say I love you to the people that you love and, just do whatever you want. Like, do whatever you want that makes you happy at the end of the day, because the reality is you don't know when that last day is going to be, right? You don't know when God is going to be like, this is it, right? And, I'm a very big believer that, things happen for a reason, right? That, if something happens, it's beyond our understanding, right?
Mhm.
It's not something that we could comprehend why something like this would understand, but it's in his plan, right?
Mhm.
And I just feel like within that time that he gives us to be here, whether that be 30 years or 100 years,
Mhm.
just, you know, try to enjoy the time that you have here, because again, you just never know when that last
the last
when that
day
last
is,
time's
yeah.
gonna be. So
Yeah,
so
bro.
yeah.
Well, guys, with that being said, Manny, thank you so much for being
Dude,
on
absolutely,
here, bro.
brother.
Appreciate you, dude. Bro, I love you, bro.
Absolutely, brother. Love you
Thank
too,
you, man,
man.
for being here, bro. Thank you for joining on the pod, even though that was an awkward hug, but it's fine.
We'll do it again to see if, you know, like, we can do it better.
Yeah,
We'll do it
Okay.
next podcast.
Next time. Yeah, next time.
Yeah, yeah.
But guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being on the Go podcast. This is George, your host. This is Manny, my guest. I'll put his social medias all at the bottom. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, leave a comment. And stay in touch, guys. More episodes to come. Peace, guys. Later.